He says to me, Gable, you haven't got good head, man. You hear what's happening with our farmers, you see where the country is going and so on, and you want to tell me about growth? Well, let's go. He never saw the guy. The next time I saw the guy was at Moses Memorial. He never saw Commandante. Never saw Commandante. But I'll also say one more thing about him, because he was a mentor in the way to Irvin and I, and he was someone who really meant well. He may not have been equipped in every way with all that he needed, but he had a sincerity, and I believe if we pursue things with a sincerity, we will make progress. Because that's what we have done with One Cassia Press. We pursued things with heart, with sincerity. So, Foreign Affairs, in 2000, March, placed the Dove government delegation in the French Quarter in New Orleans, which is the most expensive section of New Orleans, $500, $700, $800 a night, US. And what was interesting is that Foreign Affairs would give the ministers what they say in Creole, boulot, rolls of cash. And I said to Rusi, why don't they have a credit card? Where you can get a credit card account so you can know when they spend it on popcorn, matinee, cinema, and so on and so forth. They would give them their per diem in advance, rolls of cash. So when we went in and Rusi found out it was about $750 a night per suite, the people there included also Austria, was Minister of State, Reginald Austria. Rusi says, that's ridiculous. Who did it? I said, the Foreign Affairs. I didn't do that. I flew down from Washington. The lobbyist in Washington University was a friend and colleague of mine, Chapin Wilson. So Rosie said, no, I'm not going to pay that. Gabo, you're the government's lawyer right now appointed, go talk to them. It's not the government's lawyer, but he appointed me and I went and so on. Now I have 2 or 3 voices. There's a voice that I use in court when I'm doing a brief. If I'm doing a brief in the circuit court, I use one voice. If I'm doing a brief before the Court of Appeals, the Supreme Court of Maryland, I do another voice. If I'm in a Dominica and I see one at night to get a chicken leg and so on, I do another voice. And I'm at UE and I'm going to try to figure out which one I use so I can give you the best recitation of what happened.
Is it the voice of the accent? The voice of the accent? I said voice.
Well, you know, voice accent's in there. Accent. So I went up to the concierge and I spoke to the lady. I said, my name is Gabriel Christian, I'm Prime Minister's Dominica. We need to get this resolved right away. It's a diplomatic incident here, we can't get it resolved. The actual numbers are not what was given initially, and we need to get this reduced, like this and that and that. So Rosie's on the edge, listening to me and so on. And eventually what I did was I reduced the 3 suites to 1 major suite and a sub-suite. And I cut it back from $750 to $425. It was a splendid piece of work. And when I turned to Rosie put his hand on his head. I thought I had done good. Rosie put his hand on his head and walked away like this. And he tells the delegation, now, I thought we were in trouble, now we're in real trouble. If the hotel charged us that kind of money for these rooms, after Gabe was talk like that, how much am I going to be able to have to pay? I remember Matt Delty laughed until he cried. You know, and so he was a guy who was always looking for the humor in a rather difficult life of running a small country where the income equation versus the expense equation is always balanced. And he went up to the room. And when I repaired to my place, I was staying on the campus because on the campus you got a room for $45 US a night, which is my speed. And I like that speed. I left Rosie sleeping on the couch. He put Austria on the bed. Matt Delty and the other journalists on the bed, and he was sleeping on the couch. Before then, I popped up his head with a pillow. I left him and went about my business. I came back that evening where he signed the MOU for the tourism school, which maybe one day somehow we can have, because shortly after that he passed away. And with his death, that went. But I share these things. I didn't share all of that in there, but the University of New Orleans is mentioned in me, and Dr. Schillingford will remember that we invited the Chancellor, Dr. Gregory O'Brien, at the Diaspora Symposium, where young Roosevelt Scarlett and young Things Henderson attended, and all of that is on tape. All of that, again, is on tape. It's important for it to be on tape because you see, there's going to be a time when we are not here. There's going to be a time when we return to our Maker. And if we are to be a competent people, if we are to be a learning people, if we are to make progress, we need to have a sound national narrative. When I see young boys and girls who are walking up and down in Dominica with their pants below their what have you, and smoking and carrying on and drinking, I have to ask myself, what is the quality of our discourse? What are we discussing? Used to be when I was speaking to Simpson Gregoire, we would have panel discussions. We would have debates. We'd have debating society. Society is rather plural. We'd have literary clubs, Domini Literary Club, Donlit and so on. Every day now it seems we have socialization. It's on the basis of some jump up. Have you reduced the quality of our civilization to bon temps and what they say in the vernacular, siwo? We will not make progress, my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I humbly suggest, unless we can get back to that seriousness, that which is considered gravitas in Latin, where we can have a joke, because the same, I will, without offending my teachers here and my elders here, will tell you that fast forward back to, so I talked about March at New Orleans and May when he came to the Qatar Embassy, September, Georgetown School of Foreign Service. I'm saying to Uruzi that the people from New Orleans are calling, nobody's answering. Nanton cannot be found. Uruzi says he's interested in cricket, he's the chief of staff. So they were calling me because I brought him down there. And he said to me, and it's in Search of Eden too, maybe all I have with me, you guys want to drive big cars and cocky woman. It's a very, very rude thing to say in front of Miss Levy, but I had to say it because that's what he said. He was a very frank person. The pleasures of the flesh had taken over, and the bon temps had taken over sensibility. And he was at his wit's end. That was the last time I saw him. He went back home and died. Today, Abraham Lincoln has been dead 150 years. But you can read the blow-by-blow, minute-by-minute account of his assassination, what he did in the White House, how he struggled for the 13th Amendment to free slaves. We can read that to the point that Steven Spielberg can do a movie, Lincoln, that if you look at that movie, you think that Samuel Day-Lewis is the Lincoln. That's how particular and meticulous the record keeping is. You can go to the Washington National Museum and you can see General Grant's horse standing. The real horse, hair and everything, eyes that, well, I'm not sure it's the real eyes, the same eyes. The taxidermists have preserved the horse, the saddle is polished, the sword is burnished. You can see the first American dishwasher, the second one, the first washing machine, the second one. That's what we see. And so when we see these things in advanced civilizations, we cannot be craven, we cannot be inattentive to our duty, we cannot forget our country. We want the same for our country. We want our country to, because we are capable people. I'm sitting next to Dr. Whittington of Jamaica, PhD in neuroscience, head of the Department of Natural Sciences, Morgan State University, one of the best engineering schools in Baltimore. And he turns to me and he says, Christian, you're from Dominica, aren't you? I said, yes. He says, do you know my best science students are from Dominica? They're all women. I said, that's amazing. He said, there's a girl called Tesai Grell. She's got 5, she had all A's in her entire 4 years in chemistry and got a full scholarship to do a PhD at MIT. Now, anybody here knows MIT? Have you ever heard of MIT? Okay. I know I'm among the learned. I went to my phone right away at the dinner table. We were there with the ambassador, the Prime Minister of Curacao, and I Googled her name, and what did I find? The Baltimore Sun, which is the paper of record. And if you don't believe me, you can try it now. Front cover of the Baltimore Sun. It's a side rail, a convent girl, all A's, every single subject through 4 years. Best student in the history of Morgan State. Let's hear it for the convent high school. And he said, there are 4 more. There are 4 more like that. And I was exhilarated. I did a video, I put a name, I tried to find out who her parents were. I found out her father is Grail from Harlem. And Tesai, by the way, is an Ethiopian name, because Grail, of course, coming from the Black Power movement, and I will talk about that. But what really took me on the other side of my exhilaration was there are many more such stories. One of the best engineers, PhD electronics engineering, Bernardito, Texas Instruments, in China every other week, making the best scientific calculators in the world. His father was the cobbler of Boise right there on Boyd's Avenue. When I would come from school, grammar school, Irving, you knew the cobbler right there, Boise, right from Fire Brigade there. Ito. Tronada's, his brother was Tronada, Calypsonian. I share these things because we are a majestic people. Of course, our brother Bope is laughing because we always want the power and eat, what we used to eat over here. Anything you define? Endlessly. And so if we could, from a country of modest means, this is my analysis, because this book is not about me. What Irving and I have done is not about us. We're not involved in this sort of narcissism that has consumed the leader of the quote-unquote free world of late. When Charlottesville happened and they asked him about what happened in Charlottesville and he was finished talking garbage, he came back and said, do you know I have a big home in Charlottesville and a big winery? My word. Young woman has just been killed by a Nazi and tells us he has a big winery. I'm not sure whether he drinks too much of it, but that's another story. So the whole idea is, how is it that we have the San Rafaels of this world, the Irving Andres, the Aaron Emanuel, Dr. Christian, Ms. Thomas here, Trudy Christian, my niece, who is the daughter of the first Dominican vet, maybe the second person to graduate from India, Dr. Wazir Christian. Trudy was valedictorian at the convent, and rumor has it, and I believe it can be confirmed, that she was first in the class at convent, Miss Levy. And she was a head girl. So a round of applause for Trudy because she's very shy. She doesn't accept it. So you have that being multiplied over and over again. The challenge we have that the Dominica Academy of Arts and Sciences, led by the distinguished Ragan Ruffier of blessed memory and our first President Emeritus, Dr. Clinton Shilton, is how do we couple that talent together? Because that which Dominica has is replicated in Jamaica and in Trinidad. You see it in the Caribbean diaspora. And our challenge is how do we couple that together, Stuart Paris? How do we couple that together, Aaron Emanuel? How do we couple that together, Sam, and build institutions that can allow us to return to replenish the pool from whence we came? Because if the traffic is only in one direction, what are we doing? We actually are engaged in behavior analogous to the farmer. Cuts the brush, tills the soil, plants the seed, tends the crop. Harvest time is upon us. And he goes to sleep, and when he comes back the next morning, someone else is harvesting. We'll be caught in a constant cycle of poverty. So the whole idea behind Commandante Pinres, and I'll tell you a little bit about his genesis, was not simply to talk about having gone to Cuba. That in and of itself has no intrinsic value to the future of Dominica. You want a trip, come back, who cares? I want to tell you that we did the book, I did it, we did the introduction, Podcast Press produced it, because we wanted to have everyone understand that in 1961, when I was born, the Caribbean was going through its birth pangs. At least the British West Indies was. From 57 to 62, we had the British West Indian Federation. We were very fortunate to have 3 leaders of the highest caliber in the 3 leading nations. Sir Grantley Adams, Prime Minister or Premier of Barbados. Norman Washington Manley, Chief Minister of Jamaica, First Class Honours Oxford, hero of World War I, military medal in the Royal Artillery, would have been commissioned but for the color of his skin, although he was what my father would say highly colored.
High color.
My father would say highly colored. And Dr. Eric Williams, First Class Honours, PhD Oxford, author of Capitalism and Slavery. 3 great leaders. But Bustamante told the Jamaican people, and my Jamaican clients have confirmed as much, these people from the small islands, if we go, and Dr. Shillingford will stand up and be my primary witness this evening, if we go into independence, Dr. Shillingford, can you tell us what they said? What Bustamante, demagogue, with poor Jamaicans was?
Commandante told me he spoke to mostly the lower classes. Small island people are coming to get your land and to take your women.
Well, with regard to take the women, he made me talk about people like Dr. Shillington. It was quite it was quite good looking, and still is. He was called Harry Belafonte back in those days. But when the Jamaican people heard that, I understand that the Jamaicans who were better educated voted for the Federation, so we have to give them that credit. But those in the countryside who were in the majority voted against it. Jamaica left. Dr. Williams at Woodford Square. I don't think the manager of the standing room, only dental surgery in Roseau will confront me on this, but Dr. Williams went to a place called Woodford Square. Richard was there? I don't think Richard was here. And he said, 1 from 10, 0. That's what they call new maths. But he then left, or Jimmy Traynor left, and the whole thing broke up. But Sam may confirm, I simply will do that West Indians overseas are more united than here. I'll give you a little joke. My children first came back to Dominica in 2004. They said, Daddy, where can we go get the Jamaican beef patty and the dal puri? I said, we're not in Trinidad and Jamaica at the same time, you know. because in their mind, we're in all the West Indian organizations where there's a fusion of the jerk chicken, beef patty, the dal puri, and so on. Here we have callaloo and mountain chicken. And when I tell my friends, they laugh at me and so on. But they just assumed that it was all one thing. And so there's a oneness that we realize when we are overseas. Unfortunately, we do not realize here in our region, because we want to have so many captains of one ship, and of course we know that doesn't work. We do not suppress that insularity. So in the 60s, I grew up in that ferment. Our father was a Christian, had been a member of the London Book Club since the 1930s.